Hi all, welcome to another video, and yeah, I'm looking at myself again in the video, and I've got this beard, and yeah, I'm starting to dig this, the grays, like this beard. I'd like to think I'm looking a lot wiser. Probably not, but anyway, it's looking good. I dig this beard. Probably gonna shave it soon, so may as well look at myself while I can. Yeah, and as you would know, I've mentioned in my previous videos that it's winter here in Sydney, and at this point, I think it's around 10 to 12 degrees. Oh yeah, 12 degrees. Yeah, it's 12 degrees, and it's fairly cold. And in case you're wondering why am I wearing this, why am I just wearing like a t-shirt and not a jumper? Well, one of the reasons why I'm doing so is so that at some point while recording this video, I'll start to feel really cold, and then I would try and end this video, and I'll try not to drag it out for too long. So, I don't just go off a tangent and ramble on and forget what I was talking about, forget what I was talking about in the first place. So, I want to avoid that. Anyway, so a quick summary. What I'll be doing in this video is I'll be talking about I'll touch on the share file feature on that file sharing app that I was talking about. I'll share a little bit on that and how I've actually finished the first version of it, and like end to end. And then also talk a little bit about the branching model in Git that I use. Um, so yeah, let's get started. So coming from my last video, I think I spoke about actually can't remember what I spoke about, but I believe I spoke about how I was working on the back end for that share file feature, and um, I how it was very how I approached it when I started implementing it, how I changed my original vision for that first implementation of this approach, of this feature. And yeah, so to recap, on the last video, it was just that instead of adding like a social following or a friend functionality for in this app at this stage, what I did was a user can share a file with others via email. So it would be something like you click share file, and then you see a dialog box and where you can enter like the email address of the person that you want to share this with, and it would just send that person that email, and it would just include that file as an attachment in that email, as long as it's a PDF, Word, or so and so file. If it's a large video, you would just include a link to it and not really you know I try to attach like a 1 GB video or something like that. So yeah, um, all right. So now, in the last video, I spoke that I implemented the API side. I implemented the backend side of things. So I finished my work on the API side of it, and I used that Spring Boot starter mail, and I was using the Google SMTP for sending emails and so on and so forth, and how that was easier for me to use than the AES. Uh, is it AES or SES? Yeah, SES. Um, yeah, AWS SES. Anyway, so what I've done as of today is I've actually finished that feature to the point that I've implemented the UI, the shapefile UI as well. So now that entire shapefile feature has been implemented end to end. So as a user, you can log into the app, you can upload the file, and once you upload it, you see, and when you view the files that you uploaded, you'd see like three options. The one is download, delete, and then share. Um, so yeah, now the share file feature, when you click on share, as I discussed in the last video and even earlier in this video, like you get a dialog box, a React based dialog box. It's really simple. There's no fancy UI on it at this point. There's no fancy CSS, sorry, not fancy UI, but fancy CSS or UI for that matter. You enter the email address and then you just click send, and then uh, that send button would trigger this JavaScript function, which you basically just do some validated checks for, like, just check whether or not the email address entered is valid or not, and then it would just forward that to the user that it needs to go to, and it would just include a little message. The subject for the email would be like, "Hello, your username wants to share this file with you," and that file would be included in the email as an attachment. Uh, yeah, so I've done that, and now where is that feature up to? Okay, so at this point, you can only share file with one. You can only share that file with one user. You can only email one user, one email address for that matter. And the backend, the way I've implemented the backend is that it could be that you can add like you can CC people and you can BCC people and so on and so forth, but I haven't really integrated that into the front end. So I've done all this. It's just the first implementation of this feature, and right now, as bad as the UI looks, I've left that on. I've left it that way on purpose, simply because I just didn't want to go down that entire pathway of improving this CSS by using something like Material UI or so on and so or something like that. All right, and now all of these changes I haven't integrated them into the main branch yet, but all of these changes you could find them all in like this a feature branch, and that feature branch is like feature slash share file share hyphen file hyphen UI. Now see, the way I've been developing, um, I like to develop the way I develop my features on the repository is I like to use the Git the feature branching model. So the way you can create Git branches and all, you can actually create. You have feature-based branching model is one of the things. So this is relevant when you this is more relevant when you're working in a agile team with like say you've got an agile team. If you're following that agile project management methodology, you typically create like an epic, and then you break down into a bunch of different tasks and so on and so forth. So you would create like a feature, and so to think that's agile as project management, but to actually apply a similar thing, get the feature-based branching model is one of the actually I'm not sure how widely it's used, but it's one of the more used models of Git branching, the Git workflow. So the alternatives to this are Git flow and then the trunk based model. So yeah, I'm not going to talk too much on those two things, and I have used those things in my workplace maybe 10 or so years before. But anyway, so with the Git feature, the feature-based branching model, it's really simple. So say you're adding a feature as a developer, you're adding a feature to your app. So typically what you would do is you would create a branch of the main branch, and you would call it like feature slash, and then it would be the name of the feature. So in my case, it was like share file UI. So I named it appropriately. So and all the changes, all the commits that you make to it, you make it to that branch. And now once that feature is once you've finished making all the changes that you wanted to make to that feature, you typically create a pull request. You create a merge this into the main repository. So in this way, you are branching. You're developing all these features independently of the main branch. You're not really touching the main branch, and this is a more iterative, faster approach. Why do I use it? To be honest, like more than anything else, given that I'm the only developer working on this, I just use it because it just helps me. It just helps my thought process on the fact how I've actually I can sort of focus on. I can just narrow my focus down to that one feature and just keep working on it. Um, Alternative to these, alternatives to the Git the feature-based branching flow of Git, as I mentioned, Git flow model, where you've got a develop branch, and then you push all your changes to that develop branch, and then once it's ready, you merge that to the master branch. So master branch is simply something that's running in production. You don't touch it. For any development work that you do, you push it to the develop branch, and then you just and then once when you have the release, that's when you merge. After you do the releases, when you have the release, when you merge everything to the main branch. The trunk-based model, oh my god, the last time I used it was maybe 10 or so years ago, so I don't actually. You can do an online search, and I'm sure you'd find much better results than whatever I try to explain right now. So, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that I think that wraps up this video, and so the topics I wanted to cover is the share file feature, the UI for the share file feature, and then the feature-based the Git branching model. That's like by creating feature-based branches. So hope you've liked this video, and I'll put all the links to the branches, the repository, or my blog post, all in the description of this video. So please check it out. So if you want to see how I've built out the UI and how I've integrated that with the backend and all that, you can have a look at the repository. I'll include the link in the description of this video. And if you've got any questions, feel free to leave a comment or send me an email. Alright, so thanks for watching, and until next time, I wish you well and live long and prosper.